instruments you can get to make those frequencies.
Like, it's not like you can walk up to someone and say, "Oh, I fucking hate the bamboo flute." It's like, why? I hate the sound of it. Well, okay, you can't blame them because maybe they don't like it. But then it's like, it just depends on what kind of instruments and what kind of genres and shit. There's no way to say if it's actually good or not.
Yeah, and it's also like, I think also what you're used to too. I mean, I think subjective is the perfect word, mainly because I mean, all art is subjective, but
I think
what sounds you're used to are the sound.
Like, you will never get like most of India to like music that's not.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they love that shit.
But
no, I'm just saying. Like, I'm not saying that's bad.
You pissed off on one Indian viewer.
No, but like for them, they love that. And you know what? The Chinese opera and shit.
Yeah,
it's like. Boing. You know, like they've got like their own like fucking. They've got their own thing, and I'm sure there's people sitting back being like, "Oh, by the way, this is my
there's gotta be one Chinese guy who like listens to like Aerosmith or something."
I wasn't trying to be racist. Just hear me out. I was not trying to be racist. Okay. They've got different scales. They've got different ways that music works than we do, and I don't get it.
And smaller brains too. You think?
Smaller brains, smaller faces. On smaller heads.
They're small humanoids.
They're small primates.
Anyways.
But what I'm saying is, like everything, like if we grew up there, we'd probably love that shit.
Yeah, no. But it's weird because like the reason I bring that up is because I listen to older stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really like a lot of modern stuff. I don't think it's because I get labeled as somebody who's like, "What, you think music today sucks?" It's like, no, I just like older music. So people attack me for liking older music because they're saying I think.
I do think music today kind of sucks, to be honest.
I'm sorry. Like that Anaconda's ain't got none unless you got buns, huh? That kind of stuff. Where
Spencer Mix-a-Lot, and I have to enjoy it because he's from Seattle. And
every once in a while, I'll put on the radio and like hear.
No. I meant the Nicki Minaj remake of it.
Oh, she made a remake of it?
Yeah, that's the thing. She just took his music that it was already good and she made it worse.
I think the only thing I would say for music,
I think she's a decent hip hop artist, but I don't like it when they do that so much. When they take other shit.
I don't like sampling, but wait, I was about to say I think music is kind of nostalgic for everybody.
I disagree though because I didn't have a taste of music until I was like.
Well, that's fine.
17 or 18, maybe 19 even.
I think nostalgia is a part of it, but I do think that like there's a lot of people that later on get into things like 80s rock or 70s rock.
Like your taste will change though.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you hear a song from your childhood, you're not going to go, "I hate this."
Oh no, definitely.
Like if your dad was singing songs, you'd be like,
whenever I hear like a shitty, cheesy 90s song, I'm like, oh.
And it kind of makes sense though with music especially because not only is it accessible, but so many artists today I feel are influenced by past artists. That if you like something, that there's a very good chance if you backtrace it, you're gonna find like the roots of some of their music, and you're gonna be like, oh shit, this is why they got inspired to make shit. This is what it came from.
But see, I feel like too, like you said, like it's a nostalgic thing. It's a little bit of a nostalgic thing. Like
it's not totally.
If I was 50 years old and heard like this Smash Mouth song, I'd be like, what the fuck is this?
I'm not like I only heard so much music when I was a kid.
Yeah,
right.
You have to discover new music too.
So to answer the question in a roundabout way, I personally really like 80s music. I like the way it sounds. It's that nice period for me. It's a nice like transitional period where it's kind of synthy and like that weird techno-y stuff.
They got their pads, they got their themes.
Yeah, but it's not too...
They got the
it's not like dubstep or it's not that kind of really techno-y kind of stuff. It's that nice kind of like weird, cheesy... I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I like the aesthetic. But I didn't really live through the 80s. I wasn't alive.
Yeah, I was.
But so I have no bias towards it. I grew to like... that kind of stuff when I was older.
You know, it's kind of funny because I grew up in the 80s, but one of my favorite generations of music over time. Because during the 90s, we had like the alternative breakout with like Nirvana and Soundgarden and all sorts of shit. And that was what I listened to. However, as I've gotten older, I still love a lot of that stuff, but the 70s actually became something that I really got into with like Led Zeppelin, and even though the Doors were kind of out the door at the time, and listening back, I'm not so much into the Doors, but like there were plenty of bands in the 70s that I feel like influenced that 80s sound.
That's the thing too. Is it's kind of it's obvious you can say, but it's really fun to kind of go back. From songs I listen to, like it extends from like the '60s up until like the '80s or '90s.
Yeah,
it's fun to just kind of slowly see it progress. I've always enjoyed that.
What would people call Frank Sinatra's music? Would that be '60s?
Yeah, it's 40s, 50s, 60s. I think you could.
I mean, he was around for so long that it's kind of.
I guess you could. People.
What do you think the heyday of that was? '50s.
Probably.
Yeah.
50s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I just think it's cool that you can find something good in all music.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to like a weird, creepy song from the forest, You can still find something good.
Absolutely. I love, there's a lot of like Aboriginal, like tribal stuff that I love. There's a lot of like Renaissance music that I actually enjoy.
I've really enjoyed
Gregorian chants.
For some reason, I don't know why, and I think it's because I don't know if I've grown used to it or whatever, but I watch a lot of documentaries, but for some reason, Soviet music is really appealing just because it's a guy. It's really, really appealing.
Really?
It's a huge choir of guys singing. I don't know why.
It's just manly.
The Red Army Choir, I mean.
Would you want to be a part of that?
Fuck no. I would never want to live there, but it's really fascinating.
Would you like to sing with them?
There's no way. I can't sing by myself. There's
would you, if you had a choice between hiring a Def Leppard cover band or a bunch of Russian dudes to sing at your party, what would you do?
I feel like you get way more cool stuff with the second one, with the line, I think. Don't you? You have a choir of fucking manly men singing.
It's true. Okay.
With their bellies.
Fucking, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say it's cool that you can have like an artist write a song and it's good, but then someone in the future will make it way better.
Yeah.
Like Mad World. Like, you ever hear the original version of that?
Yeah.
It's like, and the new one's nice.
But to close out, I don't really feel like I could say music today is bad or worse. I don't think I could say that.
No.
I feel like there's always been bad music. I always think there's always been bad movies. I always think there's always been bad literature. But we just heard the good stuff. But I would say the only thing I would say objectively about music today that could be considered worse is, I feel like 30 or 40 years ago, there's no way to cheat the system.
Right.
You could be a bad singer now and still be popular.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I think is different today.
And that's why I would say that today more than any other time. I mean, boy bands.
But it's good. It's good in some way though, because anybody can be big.
Right.
You can be big now.
I really don't like that pop music mentality where you'll go into a club and they'll be playing all the music that just came out, and then in a month it's just forgotten forever.
It's cycled. Yeah. Well, that's always
weird.
It's always
It's just kind of culty in a way.
It is a little bit. I never thought of it that way.
It's weird.
But it is like programming. Like, you listen to it in your car and now go to the club, listen to it again. Yeah. And it's like a remixed version of it, but it's still the message and it's still the same like basic principles of the song.
Yeah. So I would say that's the only big difference today.
Yeah, I mean, there's still I mean, like you're right though. In the,
I don't think
every generation has its pros and its cons. There's plenty of good music coming out now too.
Whenever I listen to the radio, there's always that's a nice song, but I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to it.
Radio is just so hard though. Radio is to me, it's like not only is it a dying medium to a degree. I mean, relatively,
it's a shifting one, I would say. Shifting is something else. It's more vague than something.
But the radio has a problem. And the problem stems from how the model works and where they play shit until you hate it.
Yeah.
Like, they'll take a good song and be like, yeah, I like this song. 2 days later, okay, shut the fuck up. Like, can I hear something else, please?
I can't drive yet, and I don't have a radio, so I don't have to deal with that yet.
You would.
Once I get a car.
I have SoundCloud plugged right into my car. I'm not going to do it.
When I was in high school, and I used to drive to high school. My drive was a little bit longer because we had to move out of district or whatever. But I still went to that school through some weird loophole. So it was like a 15, 20-minute drive. Every day, I would listen to the fucking radio for 20 minutes and I'd hear the same songs on every station, which is fine. I think it's like why the TV model doesn't work, because on the radio, whatever's there, you have to listen to it, even if you don't want to. It's like TV. It's like, I can either watch garbage until 7 o'clock and wait till my show's on, or go to Netflix.
Yeah.
So, I feel like more people use their cell phones with the auxiliary cable now than use the radio, really.
Yeah.
You mean pop music's more like catered towards girls? So girls are more into the music?
I would say girls. I would say the younger audience in general.
But like, I don't remember dudes listening to that stuff when I was younger.
It's actually really, I'm thinking about it now. In terms of pop music, you think about all the pop stars that are like really big right now. You've got like people like Maroon 5 or Taylor Swift or whatever. It does really seem more oriented towards the girls.
I would say it's like 75%
I think it's because they realized. I don't know. I feel like that probably changed like the 80s or 90s.
Well, here, hold on. Name a pop star today that you think has more of a male fan base.
I don't know. I don't really know what kind of pop stars are. I hate to say it. I'm not really.
Yeah. Because I feel like back when you had like like Michael Jackson and
I was
stuff.
going to be Michael Jackson, but
Yeah, and then I feel like there was plenty of guys and
Yeah.
girls that really liked him. But I'm trying to think now.
But like a lot of his songs weren't just about like love and like fucking girls.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were about love. They weren't really about. I don't know. I feel like it's the core of most songs because that's like the most human thing ever is about love. It's the easiest thing to write about, which is why it's been written about so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when movies have it too. Almost every movie has a fucking love interest story because it's relatable or whatever. You can just easy. You can just do it. Everybody gets that. But it's risky to write a fucking song about Tupperware. I don't know. You know, it's hard. It's hard to.
You should do it.
Same thing with movies. You could do a really good song about Tupperware, I'm sure, or a really good movie about forks. But you know, you can do something weird. But it's hard. It's way harder to do that.
Brave Little Toaster made a good movie.
Yeah, there you go.
That's true. That's true. So what do you think, Chris? If you had to choose between 60, 70, 80, 90, or modern, what would you choose?
I'm the worst person to ask.
You
ever.
have to choose
Choose
one.
one. The guy asked the question, you fucker.
The most. Let's see.
Appealing to you.
Best era.
Look, that's the thing, right? I don't listen to any of this music. I like game.
it.
I'm
Yes,
weird.
the
Look,
question.
listen to me. I like game
what's your favorite
soundtracks.
music? What's your favorite music?
I like game soundtracks. I like movie soundtracks. I
Okay.
like catchy songs. But that's the thing, right? If I was to actually say which is the best, even though I've got no interest, I got
What's your favorite
interest.
then? What's your favorite game or movie soundtrack?
What decade produced the most interesting best soundtracks?
I like
for
the
you?
Back to the Future soundtrack. That was '85.
RoboCop also.
RoboCop was a great soundtrack.
That's
but
true.
like,
That's all 80s too.
they're not asking that. Okay, so which
You're right.
which
No,
which decade had the best music? I would say the most what's the word? Timeless. Probably the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of stuff was rooted in that.
The 70s and 80s, I would say it's a tie.
Well, you
I said 80s before. I still think 80s.
you just threw tie in there, just kind of off the cuff, like.
No, like I said, I think it's hard to choose between the 60s and like.
I would prefer music from the 80s, but I would say that the 70s would be.
The 80s definitely has a feel to it. You know what you're listening to. But
Yeah.
if something from the 70s, you could go. Well, it also depends on genre too. You know what? Fuck it. I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna blame.
We're all idiots. That was the whole
This is
point.
the most subjective shit ever.
It's true. So here's another question.
Yeah.
This one is from Phil Sutphin, and this is actually kind of a long one. I'll try to blaze through it. What's it like going to a con as an e-celebrity? For example,
Okay.
I remember Chris, the Chris Oni-NG, right here in this
This guy
very
right
room.
here?
This very room.
Picking his nose?
I remember picking his nose.
Yeah.
In a Batman shirt.
Yeah.
I remember Chris telling a story in a stream about a surreal moment at a con.
Oh, yeah.
He said that someone in an elevator full of people.
I was there.
Yeah, Zach was
I
there.
was there.
Zach was apparently there, shouted, Oni cartoons! Yay!
No, it wasn't like that.
No.
It was weird. It was weirder than that.
It was way
me and Zach
weirder.
stepped into the elevator. We were
You're at
like
the back of it, though.
we were
You're-
crushed against the back. It was full of like 30 people, like and the doors closed. And then somebody was just like, when's like Chris O'Neill's panel on? And I was like, wait, what? And then someone was like, Oni cartoons, yeah. And then like two other guys said, Oni cartoons, yeah. And I was just like, what the fuck? And then I stood out of the elevator, and me and Zach looked back into the elevator, and everyone was looking at me, but no one knew who I was. And then the doors closed, and I was like, what the
It's a really
fuck?
interesting-
He says, yeah, and a bunch of people started saying it as well, but none of them seemed to know that Oni was actually there
Yeah.
with them.
It was a really odd experience.
I don't know why it was so weird.
I
That
don't know.
sounds very bizarre. That sounds like a scene from a movie that is kind of like, you know, the slice of life of like
Yeah.
YouTube animators or something.
It was like that almost.
You're like the mall rats of like animators. You're in an elevator of people, like, you know, using your catchphrase, and then you stand in front of all of them, and not a single one of them even knows who the fuck you are.
What I think might have happened was I stepped in, and some guy might have been like, was that blah blah? Nah, never mind. But then he asked the question, you know?
Right.
But so the question is, what's it like going to a convention?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's, you know, for people like Chris and I, it's not really a big deal. We don't really get.
I preferred it like a few years ago when it was fresh.
And also, we were a little bit smaller back then, so it was a little less overwhelming.
Yeah.
When you see the actual internet celebrities like
Yeah.
dealing with people, oh my god.
I ever, you know,
Like the face people.
Yeah, like John.
Yeah.
John Tron.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to talk
Whenever
about.
we go to a convention with him, good lord, is he's what's really creepy. This is incredibly unsettling to me. It sends fucking shivers on my spine. People dressed up as John. The last place I went to, and so I kept thinking I was like, hey, with John, and he was like, it turned out it was just some fat lesbian. I was like, oh God, I'm not John.
Maybe it was John.
No, it wasn't John. John's not a fat lesbian.
But I was gonna go to
not yet. But anyways, I was like, what the fuck? And it happened like 4 times. And it kept irritating me. The more it happened,
There were 4 lesbians dressed as John Tron?
There's probably 2 lesbians and 2 just fat guys.
Okay.
There's like a weird, sad truth to it where you want people to come to your panel because like that's why you go is to see people at your panel. But then if someone comes up to you at any time other than your panel, you're like, you should have come to the panel.
Yeah.
But then and if there's people stopping you for a photo every minute, it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like in a perfect world, where you had all the time in the world and you had nothing to do.
Yeah.
It would be great to like take photos and sign autographs, have a 5-minute chat with everybody. Like it would be great. But I could imagine that once it happens too much, it's just like, oh wow.
Yeah, no.
Well, Chris,
I've gotten to the point where if I continue to do what I do, it will get to the point where it's going to be annoying, you know?
Right, but what's funny though is from the other perspective, none of the, or not none, but a lot of these people don't know what that experience is. So for them, every time they meet you, it is the first time.
Yeah.
It is like so fresh for them. For you, it's like, dude.
And it's not like you can't relate.
Well, Chris, I think when you say annoying, it's not like annoying that they're approaching you.
No, it's great. No, it's awesome that they're approaching you.
Yeah.
But it's annoying when they stop you when you're in the middle of something, or if you're eating dinner or something.
I think eating is a
or if
thing.
they're like, give me a picture, and you're like, dude, I look like shit. I've been walking around for 6 hours.
That's the one aspect. I mean, it's probably sounds weird to outside perspective because we're just. It's also hard to not sound like a douche for talking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, no.
We're not celebrities. We're sometimes.
Yeah.
And luckily, not me that much. But I'm paranoid. Yeah, it's like, oh, I remember John. We were in New York, and John got seriously recognized multiple times a day.
Yeah.
And it's like the guy couldn't just go out and get a carton of milk or something, or go get a water until he couldn't walk in his not boxers, but his fucking pajama pants.
Yeah.
He had to look picture quality every time he went out. And it's like, dude,
because people would snap a. If you didn't consent to a photo, they'd take it anyway.
Yeah, he had to put Jock on his fucking shoulder every day, walk around the city. He had to walk to his theme tune. He had to carry boombox. It was fucked up.
Wait, what?
No, it's not. It's not true.
Okay, I was like the boombox. With like sunglasses on.
Yeah, but I mean, from my perspective, I've said it before on the podcast. I've said it before, just other places. I don't like those encounters, not because I don't like the encounters themselves, but I don't like what's behind them. I hate the idea of celebrity, like of celebrities and being a celebrity. I'm not a celebrity, but saying I hate the idea of it. I really, really, really don't like the idea of pictures. I don't like the idea of autographs because it's me confirming that I'm worth an autograph for a picture.
Yeah, but
that's my perspective.
People, okay, so there's celebrity culture, and then there's just someone who genuinely looks up to you as an artist.
I get that, but I guess I have a weird skewed perspective because if I saw like Larry David or somebody, I would never like be like, hey, I've never asked anybody for a picture ever.
Right.
And that's just me. If I ever met somebody I'd like, I'd be like, oh, I try to treat them like a person. Even if my heart was beating, I was like, oh God, it's this person.
Yeah.
And that's just a human reaction. I would still. But that's just me.
We were hanging out at MagFest together a lot, and a couple of them. And I'm curious, now that you mentioned it, because I know like your thing with photos, were you asked to get photos a lot?
A couple people asked me before, and
then what did you say?
I said I'm sorry, I really like doing that. But I can do anything else for you. I can.
Suck your dick.
Like, yeah, I can suck your balls.
We're not original, Mick. Me and you.
But no, I guess I don't like the idea of that because it then confirms that they're like, oh yeah, I'm worth an autograph or I'm worth a fucking picture.
Do you think it's fair for you to make that judgment for them now? Because what you're doing in that moment though.
What I'm saying is, I'm not trying to deprive anybody of anything. I'm just saying you got the wrong idea. Your image of me is not what you think it is.
You feel guilty, kind of?
But you can't
I feel
tell
guilty.
somebody...
If I sat down with lunch with somebody and they'd expect me to be off the walls, I'd be like, yeah, so I was listening to NPR earlier in the
expectation is different than what people feel when they
I get, look, my perspective is, if people like my work, that's great. That's what I want.
Right.
I want people to appreciate my work. But the guy behind it is a boring fucking guy. Don't do the thing.
No, well,
I'm an average guy, and I say that seriously. And I know it's obvious, but people really think I'm off the walls. And it's like, no, I have a fucking boring.
But what if they want your autograph because of the body of work you've done and the joy you've brought to them, and not because you're so crazy
people do it because they idolize.
I understand.
There's like another like aspect to it where I get really like guilty feeling when someone comes up to me and says, "I'm a really huge fan of this cartoon that I personally hate it now because do you ever make a cartoon and you grow so far from it you're like, I fucking hate this."
I hated ... about a month after I made it.
Right. So when people come up to you and say,
it was literally what Tom Folk would introduce me to people as. He was like, "This is the ... guy," and I was like, "Tom."
So if people come up to you and say, "I love ... you're like,
yeah. That was the first thing John said to me at NACFest.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, man, yeah, you made ... I love ...
So
you just like,
you just feel bad, kind of. You feel kind of guilty because you've grown out of it, and you're like, you can't escape it, you know?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like that people go, like, "What are you trying to hide?" It's like, I'm not trying to hide anything.
Yeah.
I've already been out there. People know my full name. It's like I'm trying to hide anything. I don't like the idea of it. I don't like the idea because I'm not fucking. It's not even that I'm not worthy, but I'm not. But it's like I think it's pointless. If you want to appreciate anything, if you want to say anything, do it about my work. But I am not a celebrity. I'm not a goofy, off-the-wall guy. What I make is what I want to be out there. I don't want to be the spotlight because I don't deserve to be spotlight.
I understand. But do you feel like you've I think that there's a distinction, though, between those people who feel like they're celebrity, therefore they propagate that image and they promote it. But I do think, as far as the effort that has gone into avoiding that,
it's not effort. It's the opposite. It's a lack of effort to do the other thing. I've never made an effort not to do that. I've made an effort to not. Basically, what I'm saying is I've never made an effort to not put myself out there. I've just never put an effort to put myself out there. It's a lack of effort.
Okay.
A lot of people will go, "I want to be that face." And people walk down the street and they go, "Oh, it's you."
Right.
I don't want a face to my thing. I want my work. Everything should be different. I'm a guy who practiced something and maybe I'll get better at it someday, but then that's it. I practice at it. That's all it is. I just do stuff. And I'm not purposely being humble. I really hate the idea of idolizing people behind the work. I really don't like it.
So it's not about you putting an effort not to put yourself out.
Right.
there.
I'm not consciously going. Ugh.
Right. So like if a camera was on you, it's not like you wouldn't take the effort to walk away from the camera or put like a mask on.
I'm not going to scream it away. I went to a panel for God's sake.
That's
true. I was like, oh yeah, I feel like doing it. It's one of those.
Well, you went to one of them.
Yeah, but I also go back to see it at all.
But I was gonna say, so.
Am I in the wrong? What are you gonna say?
I don't think you're right. I do think that you do.
That's my perspective.
Effort into.
I don't know. If you put yourself out there, people like you more for doing it for a reason. I don't know.
That's the other reason I don't like it. I've been to so many fucking parties where someone like ignores me, like these snobby Hollywood fucking.
Okay,
that's a good point.
You know what? They ignore you because they don't know you look like that. Because you keep hiding what you look like.
That's my point.
No, but Zach's saying that you can see the true person if they don't know who you are first.
This is my point. I've been to so many places where I've been a circle of people talking, and they're like, "Yeah, I did this." So I'm just sitting there, like, I say something, they're like, they look at me, look away, and after like an hour into the conversation, somebody walks over, like, "Oh, this is, he did this and this," and immediately these ass kissers. That's why I don't like it. It makes everyone see. I want people to see me. I want to be a regular person who's treated like a real person.
Yep.
I hate the fucking thing of like, "Oh, you made this," and you get these leeches, these fucking bottom feeders.
Yeah,
I hate that.
So here's an interesting
I want people to treat me right because I'm being a fucking human being.
An interesting parallel is when I was 15, I was very overweight. I was very overweight for my entire youth, and then I over a course of a summer I did a lot of unhealthy things, and I lost a stupid amount of weight. I went to the hospital because my immune system basically shut down and fed me intravenously through my knuckle for about a week and a half. And I lost a ton of weight, and then when I was in the hospital, I lost even more weight because I was just being fed like NaCl. What is it? Sodium?
Gatorade.
Gatorade. They were just feeding me fucking Gatorade. But then when I got out, because this was an international school, this was in Malaysia. There wasn't a whole lot of people. It was a pretty small circle of people.
Yeah.
But the exact same people that I remember making fun of me while I was drawing in my sketchbook. I had headphones on, but I was switching tracks, like, bouncing through tracks, so there was a dead space in my tracks. I could hear them talking about me, like, while I was, and these were my quote-unquote friends. Like, these were the people, but, I mean, it wasn't friendly banter.
You were the fat kid, so fuck.
I was like, I was the fat kid of the group, I guess. So they always needed, like, a thing, I guess. But I didn't know that was the case because I never heard it to my face.
Yeah.
You always kind of felt things. So anyways, but I got back. And after a number of unhealthy choices, I had lost a lot of weight. And, this is when you're 16, so, like, 16, 15 period where your puberty is really hitting. So you grow and you change.
You got a big dick.
Quickly. I have a big dick, so that helps.
Yeah. Okay, wait, never mind, go.
So anyways, what ended up happening was all of them all of a sudden liked me.
Yeah.
I was a sophomore. I dated a senior, and all of a sudden, like, within several groups, I was in a heavy metal band. All of a sudden, I was like, I was the lead of a couple of, like, plays and things that we did. My circle of friends was awesome. I did really like them. In retrospect, they were great people. However, there were so many people that I wanted to be my friend that I realized after I'd lost the weight, they wanted to be my friend. I hated everybody.
Yeah.
I couldn't trust anybody. Then I went to Japan after Malaysia. Hated everybody.
Well,
anyone who liked
Japanese.
me, no, a lot of them were international. And when I went back to Seattle after that, hated everybody. And when I say hate, that's a bad word. I was always suspicious. I could never look at anyone and think, you actually like me, because of the transition and how quickly it happened. I distrusted everyone because I was like, if you saw me 2 years ago, if you saw me 3 years ago, you would be fucking making fun of me right now. You would not be my friend.
Right,
I dated girls. That's what I thought. I went out to parties with people. That's what I thought. I was invited to shit. That's what I thought. I had this disdain for everybody. That's actually a big reason why I'm, like, as nice, quote unquote, as I am. At least I try to be positive and everything, is because I spent a huge chunk of my life, like the most, like as far as like parties and friends and all that, between 15 and 22, that's like kind of like a big, like, high school to college kind of party time. Where I just looked at everybody with this second eye, or this third eye of just disdain. Because my eyes are so small, they only count as half. So you have to combine them to create one. So my second eye. But yeah, so when you were saying that about going to a party and hearing what people
that feeling in your stomach, that fucking fire you feel when you're like, I know you're disingenuous and you're a fucking snake. I've experienced it several times where people flat out ignore me. At these parties fucking parties, where people congregate, of, like, other quote unquote celebrities, or maybe even higher up people than that, and you just get them and it's like, oh, what did you do? You get this snobby fucking dead look in the eyes, and you really have to be like, I made this, and they're like, oh, and immediately these fucking worms just, I don't know, it really makes me sick. So that's another reason too. It's like, let's see if you really are.
I think it's so much more exciting to, like, become friends with somebody, like, over drinks and stuff, and then while you're talking, then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, and I do this thing. You're like, oh, what did you do? And they're like, oh yeah, they drop a name of a project. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
And you guys are already hitting it off.
That's
fine.
Like, oh,
that's awesome.
fine. Look, I've met people who have been like that with.
Most of you guys have been that.
I've met people who've been great, who didn't know who I was and treated me nicely, and then I told them who, we exchanged. Oh, you did this. Yeah, that's cool. That's good, but I'm saying I've experienced so many times. I seriously remember one instance where I was flat out ignored in a group of talking.
I remember that.
Yeah. And they were just like, these snobs, because they were talking about pitching shows.
Yeah.
And I was like, I did that, so I'll pitch in my 2 cents.
Throw your 2 cents in.
Yeah, and I think I had more than 2 cents in the situation, because what they hadn't pitched yet. So I was like, oh, this is my experience. And they're like, oh yeah. And then one of the people, the host of the party, walked over and was like, oh yeah, this is Zach, he made Hellbenders and this and that. And you made I was like, I never felt more dirty than that time. And immediately they all focused.
Good day, sir.
While we're on the subject of this question, can I just say one thing, because I didn't get a chance to earlier, is, when I was saying that if you like you reach a certain point of internet celebrityism where people will come up to you, I didn't mean to say, like, it's annoying if you do that. It's just, it depends on the situation, I guess. Like, so say John, for instance.
I think the interaction is important. For example, we saw two guys who stopped over like, hey, can I get a picture with you? And that stuff is fine. But the one guy at the coffee shop, it was the coolest interaction I've ever seen in my life. Guy at the coffee shop, we were leaving, and the guy was like, oh, hey, John, I saw your barber video. Great stuff. And he shook his hand, and he's like, thanks.
Yeah, he was
walked away.
cool.
That was it. I was like, that guy's fucking cool. And I remember that guy way more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I would just say this: if you see somebody you look up to, just remember they probably get stopped every day, multiple times a day, and just be conscious of that. Just appreciate that. They're not big dicks, because imagine you trying to go. Imagine all the stress everybody listening has right now in their head. Oh, I have to go to work. I have to pay this bill. I have to go. Oh, this coworker's being a dick. Oh man, my dad has cancer. Whatever. And imagine you're being slattery.
To talk about John's dad's cancer. That was a slip.
1 week. No, but seriously. So I was like to say, it's
Wait,
unappreciated.
John's dad doesn't have cancer. Go on.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's pestering. I would just say be conscious of what that person's going with. Everything in their head they're dealing with, plus you interacting with them.
Yeah.
And it's not to say they're annoyed by you or they don't appreciate it.
I didn't mean to say it like that.
I think actually what Chris was saying is kind of right though, as far as like,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
Like as far as like the whole annoying